Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is an abomination, an absolute ridiculously undercooked release, and I wish I was saying that for the first time. I feel like we get one of these every few weeks at this point.
How have there been so many video game open goals that have been completely skewed, Scott, like over the past few years, especially when it comes to remasters? Obviously, it still takes a lot of work to get one of those, ported on new systems. It still takes graft, but surely something like bringing the Battlefront games with some modern online functionality over to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch shouldn't be this controversial.
No.
It's the same thing with the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition from a few years ago. Like, that should have been another, not easy, but open
Pretty
goal.
easy compared to the new stuff.
Pretty easy compared to like making something like GTA 6. Like, the work is there, the template is there. It's something that you should be able to get right.
Yeah, the thing is with the Star Wars re-releases as well, like the Jedi Academy re-release that was over on Xbox, like you can play that on Xbox Live multiplayer. It's just like it used to be. It runs very smoothly. It reminded me of 2005 very nicely. It was a lovely, lovely time. Remastering the classic collection of Battlefront, and they still largely look like how you remember them. You'll have upscaled them a little bit in your head, but they haven't been completely reskinned or anything. When they had the trailer for this recently, and then it was coming out soon, I was like, this is awesome. This is exactly how you should do it. Take old school multiplayer games and have new age netcode and just sync it all up so it plays better than ever. But sadly, and it's even as at time of recording, the Battlefront Classic Collection is still on fire.
Yeah.
There is a disparity to be called out in regards to the console performance and the PC performance. PC is by far the worst. However, one of the reasons that the game is completely beset with texture issues, performance issues, most of the levels don't even load in the correct color over on PC, and they look like patchwork quilts of all these different colors over the top. Stuff coming in. Overall, apparently it's because the game launched with only 3 servers.
Yeah,
that's 64 players each.
Crazy.
Did they not see it was Star Wars? Like that it was Battlefront? There's a few things to throw in. Like you've got the server dips all over the place. People can't even get into lobbies because there's only 3 servers apparently online anyway, and they're only 64 players. So even tot it up, that's only 192 players.
Yes.
Which is pretty bad. There's also the side of it where Aspire have addressed this. They said we experienced critical errors with our network infrastructure. The result was incredibly high ping, matchmaking errors, crashes, servers not appearing in the browser. But there's a wider issue here where the game itself is 72.58 gigs big for games that are from like 2005, 2006. It's literally 10 times bigger than both original games combined. Like, what is going on over there?
I don't know, man, because like you said, it started when it launched, it was like on fire, and I was hesitant to initially do a news because, like you said, they initially put out the statement. I think they even like immediately upped the server capacity, and I thought, well, job's a good one. It seems to be smooth sailing from here on out. We can kind of get over this initial launch, but then in the days since, it has just been a constant stream of complaints about the matchmaking, about the bugs you mentioned, about the glitches that shouldn't be there, about the storage. I think there's a story doing the rounds that, I don't know if this is an allegation or has been proven, so I think it's just that allegedly a modder's code was used in the final game, and it's like, why are all of these stories surrounding something like Star Wars Battlefront? You mentioned the developers, Aspire, like they made great ports in the past.
Like a couple of weeks ago.
Just a couple of weeks ago, they dropped the Tomb Raider collection, which by all accounts was a well-received game. They've recently updated it with a 120 frames per second patch. It seems like they're on top of things there. In the some of the previous Star Wars games they've put out have also been cracking. I loved the port of Star Wars Jedi Academy. Another game that they implemented, modern servers for, so you could play the online component. Yeah. And it just seems with this one, they've completely dropped the ball, and they seem to be a bit of a chaotic studio, I think, because they can put out something great and support it, and they can absolutely fumble the bag with something else. Obviously, Battlefront, they fumbled it, but they were also in charge of the much bigger scale Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, which, according to Jason Schreier over on Bloomberg, just became like a total mess internally and has, by all accounts, being given to a brand new studio. I think Saber Interactive Entertainment to more or less take the lead on it because there was so much mismanagement in Aspire, and it's like, what is, like, it's hard to, obviously, we've seen the news stories over the past few weeks, it's hard to keep a video game studio running in the modern climate.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a studio of Aspire's caliber, who was known for ports, who was known for remasters, will come under a lot of scrutiny, might find it difficult to, get those big contracts in or whatever. But still, like what's going on that these games can be so lopsided in their quality?
And it's like they either pull it off and you get the Tomb Raider Remastered Collection, which is a phenomenal version of those original games. It even added a photo mode and poses and filter. It's awesome. Really, really well done, runs beautifully, etc. I wonder on the Star Wars side if it's more from the top down, like if there's more things they have to get signed off from the top down. I remember when me and you were previewing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and we were talking to the people from Respawn down in London years ago before the pandemic, saying about how hard it was to get something over the finish line with Disney as the person you have to bounce everything off, and how one little change means a few days worth of waiting for a reply, and you're just sitting there waiting to get something done. And I just wonder how much that's still the case. Like, you read about so many on fire elements of Disney every other day, and trying to wrangle all that together into some sort of focused creative vision, and then their main output is still movies, etc. Their gaming division, there was all the stuff that happened with LucasArts and trying to regain the IP, and then all of this stuff comes from that, trying to get back on top of all the Star Wars stuff. I just wonder if it was one of those things where they couldn't get the release date pushed back enough, or they couldn't get, they had issues with the code or whatever it is. You're waiting on an email, you're waiting on responses. Like, sometimes it sounds like that's an oversimplification, but it can literally be something like that. And I'm just curious. This seems so ludicrously, hilariously on fire that, and we know Aspire are better than this. Like, there are obviously instances, like you said, there's the Knights of the Old Republic remake, the obviously beloved game from the 2000s, that was going to be completely overhauled. That behind the scenes reports from Jason Schreier, from Jeff Grubb, said that they never actually got a focused demo of whatever that was going to be approved, and that they were pitching for that, even as much as months after the announcement, the teaser trailer, and then it fell apart, and it's not in development anymore. But then the most recent thing is that there's something still there. Like, again, that could be an email saying we'd still like to do this. It could be anything. And then you also have, just to throw it in, you have their work, Aspire's work on KOTOR 2 and restoring the fan mod stuff.
That's the other one I was thinking of. I was like, what was the one did they fumble? It's that,
Yeah, and it's like that whole thing where they announced they were going to be doing all the cut content patch, which is legendary in KOTOR, the KOTOR fandom, of like finishing the game essentially after Obsidian weren't able to. Saying they would do that for the remaster, not being able to, and then having to issue refunds and address that where they couldn't actually live up to that stuff. Just, it must suck trying to bring this stuff together. Like, I have the utmost sympathies for anyone working on the coding side, the dev side, anything other than the coverage side, because it just must be a living hell trying to get anything over the finish line in 2024.
Yeah, I would be really interested to see what specifically is going wrong with these games, because like you said, we do have a couple of reports about KOTOR specifically. Yeah, you mentioned, they apparently spent so much time working on a vertical slice to impress their publisher and Sony that, they just didn't have the time to actually work on the game, and it wasn't going as smoothly as planned. But with these remasters and these ports, like, what has happened with Battlefront? Was it a Disney Lucasfilm like top-down issue where they didn't have the support they needed, or they didn't have the release date to actually release what they wanted to release, or is there some mismanagement going on within Aspire themselves and juggling all of these different projects, like dropping Tomb Raider, then going straight into this? I don't know. I don't even think, it was such a big thing when this was announced, and it felt like an easy win. Everyone was like, yes, we love Battlefront. It's coming back, and it's coming back in a good way. Awesome. I'll get my pre-orders in right now. But like, LucasArts have just had the Dark Forces remake like last month. It's not like they needed two of these at once necessarily. Could this not have been pushed back a little bit? The cynic in me says they wanted to get this out alongside a few of the other things because it's coming up to the end of the financial year. Maybe they've pushed it to the limit of when they could release it. They wouldn't have wanted to do it in April or May because then it counts to next year's revenue stream. I don't know. That's like the cynical businessman. No, I'm not a businessman, but you know what I mean? That kind of cynic businessman brain in me that I think that way.
No, man, I think if I was going to hazard a guess as to what's happened, if you think about the remasters, the re-releases of old games, Dark Forces felt very much like a reminder of what first-person shooter Star Wars was like, with a view to Respawn's game coming up going forward, which they're now no longer doing. Like anything, and this always happens in the industry, if you look at remasters and think, why now? It's because they want to build hype towards whatever the next main installment is. Like we got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because we have the next Mass Effect coming. Like I said, Dark Forces would go straight into a first-person shooter Star Wars. Battlefront remasters are likely a reminder of Battlefront in general, the IP in general, for the next main installment of Battlefront. Assumedly not with EA anymore, but I wonder if that's what this was. And then maybe you have that whole reshuffle, all the layoffs, you've got all the stuff happening over at Disney, the various studios, and it's like, just get this over the finish line. We'll patch it later. Just get it out there. We're not doing the next thing anymore. It doesn't matter. Just get it over there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, man. I mean, you look at the Star Wars license as a whole, like moving away from just the Aspire produced products at this moment in time. Look at that in the gaming space, and it has been like, there's been some highs, but there's been a lot of lows over the past few years. You know, they cancelled Battlefront 3. There was the controversy with Battlefront 2, the EA version. Then we had, you know, Jedi Survivor last year, which I loved, but it was undeniably plagued by issues at launch, not too dissimilar to Battlefront that we have now. You know, that was another Star Wars game coming in hot, where people said, why wasn't this delayed a little bit? Why couldn't you have polished this up before you released it? Because there's something great there, but you're just kind of fumbling it. Same with KOTOR 2, same with the KOTOR big remake. And I look at something like Star Wars Outlaws, which is apparently also coming this year, and I think, please don't suffer the same fate. Please be actually good and be actually polished and be one of the good ones and not one of the bad ones.
At least Outlaws is like its own thing. Like, it's not like it's not like Dark Forces and then the DNA that would go through to a first-person shooter Mandalorian game or the Battlefront IP. Outlaws isn't a previous thing, so I guess it's maybe safe kind of thing.
I thought that about Jedi Survivor, man. I thought they won't repeat the mistakes of Fallen Order again, and then they did, and then it was as broken, if not more broken. So I know, like, Outlaws is one that I am. It's rare that I'm like cynical about games before they come out. You know me, I'm always hyped. I was hyped about the definitive edition of GTA until I was proven otherwise. I was hyped about Cyberpunk until I was proven otherwise. Outlaws, I have a bad feeling about, you know. Very good. But I just think of that coming from Ubisoft, and I look at these other Star Wars games, and I think, ooh,
I know.
I don't know. I want to be proven wrong. I want to love it. Of course I do. But I don't know where Star Wars is at the minute, man. It's up and down. Ups and downs.
They have no idea. I think going forward, obviously, Aspire said they're going to put more servers online. They're going to do what they can. It's very much another case of an audience being beta testers, an audience being trialed, paying for something that isn't finished. But at least it's a budget release. It's not full price, as in £70, $70. But it's unacceptable. How many more times? How many more times?
I said to you, before we started recording, I think my angle on this is like, we should not be in a world, we should not be living in 2024 looking at Star Wars Battlefront, the collection, on a store page for, what is it, £24, £29. I can't remember what it is.
It's a cheaper game,
discount, but at a discount, in having to look up technical guides as to whether it's worth it.
Yes.
It should be an easy yes or no. Like, do I want to play this game? Do I have nostalgia for this game? Yes. Do I not fancy Star Wars Battlefront? No. It shouldn't have to be this complicated for a game that old. Is my thing.
I spent most of the weekend going, I'd love to just hop on this. Oh, okay, the servers are on fire. Okay, not necessarily on these platforms, but it's the same shared servers. Right, the PC version's on fire. Should I get it on Switch? That one's reviewing well. Oh, but the conditions of the review were different to the public launch now. Like, I hate it. It's horrible.